Welcome to the Midweek Mailbag, your Detroit Lions midweek podcast where we answer your Detroit Lions questions. And boy, did we get a lot this week. My name is Jeremy Reisman. You can find me at Detroit Online on social media. With me, as always, is the managing editor of Pride of Detroit, and you can find him at Erik Schlitt on Twitter. It's Erik Schlitt. Buddy, we're good 48 hours removed from whatever happened on Sunday. Are we feeling a little better?
A little better about some things, a little worse about some things. There are a couple things that maybe I didn't catch watching live that I wasn't happy about, but other things that when you expand on them with a little bit greater detail, it makes sense why it happened.
Well, we are going to get into all of that on this week's episode as we kind of dig into what went wrong. I will say the majority of the questions we got were about the offensive line, so we'll start there. We'll talk a little bit about the Lions' defensive strategies. We'll talk a little bit about the Bears moving forward and maybe what we thought of them last night on Monday Night Football. All sorts of that coming up, but yeah, let's start with the offensive line, and I probably could have chose from 200 different questions, but we'll start with Nate S., one of our Pride of Detroit Direct subscribers, says the team's run block grade, 49.3, was lower than any game that the Lions have played since Week 16 at Carolina in 2022. Oof, let's not talk about that game. I'm not ready to panic yet with the O-line, but if the Lions can't get any good run blocking, the offense is really going to struggle this season. So what can they do to improve? Is it as simple as more playing time to gel better?
Yeah, I think most of the criticisms that I had from week one were based on levels of inexperience. Levels of inexperience play calling on both sides of the ball and interior offensive line level of experience as well. That's going to take time. They looked like they were headed on the track to be further along. They showed well in training camp, and it was when they got into the game situation, they were exposed to some of their communication issues. That was a real problem, the communication, and that comes with experience, and some of it is experience working together, and some of it is just experience with a younger guard. Ratledge in particular had a hard time. He wasn't, I think was it Dan that said he wasn't getting, or maybe Ratledge says he wasn't getting the right calls a couple of times. And when you go back and you look, you can see a couple of very obvious plays where the whole line is going one way and Ratledge is going the other. And so it is a matter of just getting time on task, right? Ratledge, maybe it was a lot of rookie nerves in his first game. Maybe it was just it was a tough moment. It's hard to tell.
I'm sure there's a lot going through your head as a rookie in your first career
100%.
start. And so sometimes you just miss something. You just miss a call.
Yeah.
You miss an assignment. You hear something that wasn't said. There are a lot of things, but it was clear he was going through it.
Yeah. And so I do think it's a combination of you're gaining experience as a player individually, and then also gaining experience working around you with the players. Like, he looked like he was really settling in by Dolphins, right? That's when Dan Campbell was pointing it out that he looked like he had settled in, and he had a couple good joint practices worth of work. And but yeah, he on the road in Green Bay, he just didn't seem like it seemed like a lot for him to and it's gonna take him a little bit of time.
Yeah, I think if I were to look at the offensive line play and put it into like three categories of problems, one would be the miscommunication stuff. That was not just Ratledge, but more so than probably anyone else out there.
Right.
One would be giving a little bit of credit to Green Bay, because I thought their linebackers played outstanding, particularly in the run game. The Lions were having a real tough time getting to them at the second level in the run blocks. And then the third one was, and third one's probably the most concerning, and I would say maybe, I don't know if it's the biggest piece of the pie, but it's either first or second, and it's just the Lions getting beat. Lions were just
Yeah.
getting beat. Pass protection was way worse than I was expecting. It wasn't as big of a problem in the run game, which is kind of what you expect. Like, a lot of these guys are road graders. That would make sense. The problems with the running game to me was just not being able to seal off those blocks in the second level. And that is, you're either over pursuing or the linebackers aren't getting fooled by any sort of misdirection and they're just crashing down really hard. I didn't sense that they were getting overpowered in the run game very often, but that was happening in the pass game. That was happening in pass pro.
It happened once or twice in the run game too, where they'd get out leverage or something like that. It wasn't perfect. I agree on all those points. Um, it's it was a tough start, and I agree that excuse me. I said this on the PODD mailbag we did post game. It looked like the Lions maybe started game planning like a normal week. They did their cut downs and then turned the Green Bay film on and got ready for Green Bay. Whereas it felt like Green Bay had been planning for this since the schedule came out.
Right.
Right. We heard all week leading up to the game how big and how massively important it was for Green Bay. They'd lost 3 times to Detroit. Detroit has owned the division the last 2 years. The Packers have struggled within their division, and they were. It was very, very important to them, and it showed. They looked like they were prepared. They had a lot of answers that the Lions didn't. They had some play calls that were, I think, basically like perfect. A couple of these deep shots, couple of touchdowns were just excellent play calls, and they anticipated what Detroit was going to do, and Detroit did it, what they would normally do, and Green Bay was anticipated it well and made the call. And so you see it up front too, right? Yeah. You saw the way that they were stunting, the way that they were hitting different gaps. It was a well thought out game plan that was executed about as good as it could be. And sometimes when you play top 10 teams, you're going to get beaten. It's going to look bad.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I think that's the other part of this is let's wait and see how this looks. Mm-hmm. The Lions, we talked about it on the PODD video. Like, the Lions have struggled against this defense last year. Like, in Jeff Hafley's first year, the Lions were not particularly good against this defense. The first game was in Lambeau and it was a little rainy, but they only scored, I think, 17 offensive points in that game. The second game, they put up 34, but the run game struggled. I believe they only ran for like 3-4 carry in that game. And so this isn't particularly new, and I think maybe we hyper fixated on the fact that they didn't have Kenny Clark anymore. Mm-hmm. And listen, that should make a difference, and maybe it will in the long term here in Green Bay. But I think maybe we underestimated a couple of the guys that are in there. I thought, I can't remember the guys. Willard, is that what his name is? The defensive tackle the nose tackle that's like 270, but he's actually 300 pounds. I can't remember his name.
Okay. Keep going.
He played particularly well. And then, like I said, I thought the linebacking core was was very good.
The speed of the defensive linemen and the way that they stunted, it made it harder for the younger guys to adjust quickly, and they struggled to get to their points in the right spots. And so that, again, that's something that is a learning process, right?
Yep.
That's going to take time. Unfortunately, they just weren't ready for it in week 1.
Yeah. It will be interesting to see how things turn out next week. Not to talk about the Bears too quickly, but like, the Bears were a team that was pretty tough to play last year, but they've got a whole new defensive system. They've got a whole new defensive coordinator, and the Vikings were able to run on him a little bit late in that game. So we'll see. Let's stick with the offensive line here, because I feel like Graham Glasgow is taking a little bit of a beating from Lions fans here. Elliot Battle asks, is Graham Glasgow at risk of losing his job by midseason? Every year it seems like a contributing vet slowly fades from a big role until they become inactive, like Brockers, Tracy Walker, Charles Harris, Okwara Bugs. So is this what we're seeing with Graham? Is this the beginning of the end?
Um, I don't know. I mean, most of the errors that I saw came from the guards.
Mm,
Um, it's hard to say because when communication is the primary factor, it's hard to say who's at fault, right?
right,
Like, is it like when Ratlich goes one way and everybody else goes the other, it's very obvious who's at fault,
right,
right? But when you're getting beat in between Graham and Ratlich, it's hard to say who was supposed to move to what side, whose
right.
assignment was that. We don't always know those because we don't know what the calls are. And so I don't know. I'm not ready to bring that bell on Graham yet. Like I said, I think the inexperience of the guards was a little bit more prominent in my eyes.
Yeah. I, it wasn't a good day for Graham, but you also have to remember all the things that were on his plate, including playing in between two
Two
inexperienced
guys that were
guards.
struggling. Yeah.
Yeah. He's now taking on the role of communicator, so like some of those communication problems probably fall on his shoulders too.
Yeah. Sure. We don't know.
But
Yeah.
but from everything that I've been told about the environment there at Lambeau, it was crazy. It was
Hmm.
loud. It was not easy. So communication breakdowns probably to be expected on some level or another. But again, like when you're talking about the culprit of those not getting off to the second layer blocks, I did think Graham struggled in that case. I thought a lot of times he over pursued and the linebacker was able to get by him. Now, some of that is like, okay, well, you're working on the combo block with your buddy. You maybe don't have the trust in the guys next to you as much as you want to, so maybe you're putting a little too much focus on that instead of getting to the guy at the second level. There's a lot of things that could be going on here to the point where I'm not ready to say like, yeah, Graham's done. He was terrible at left guard
Hmm.
last year. He's terrible at center in week one. Like he's done. The line, like if it still looks like this by midseason, like maybe, but the Lions are not going to have Graham Glasgow on a short leash because
Mm-mm.
they understand what this is. They understand this is a young developing offensive line, and they understand it takes time and chemistry. And you can say maybe they should have gotten more time in the preseason, or they should have decided earlier in the offseason what they were going to do or whatever. But I don't think there was going to be a lot that was going to navigate through these developmental bumps before the season started. It was always going to bleed into the season, and we've said as much, right? I
Mm.
think we expected to look a little bit better than it did in week one, but
Yeah.
they knew there were going to be bumps in the road, and they're not going to abandon ship right away. Now, this is a team that like they don't let problems linger on too long without changing things up if they can. But like, I don't think there is a answer behind door number one or door number two. Like, I think, if your hopes are on Tristan Colon, I think you misunderstand what's happening here. Um,
I
they
think
just need time.
I think the biggest prize behind door number one that they're going to have that could really help them is they're playing at home. And so
Sure.
you won't have to worry about communication issues because the crowd is going to be quiet.
Yep.
And if you're attending the game, be quiet,
Shut
right?
up.
Because you can eliminate that. Like if
Yeah.
that's one of their big problems was that they were having a hard time communicating. And so you have a completely different environment that should help them. And if that can help them get into the right sets and the right protect, that could low key be a big advantage this
Sure.
week being back at home.
Yeah. No question. Um, I guess the last one we'll talk about with the offensive line here. Carl K, one of our Pride of Detroit direct subscribers, asked, last year Mahogany played exceptional well, although in limited appearances. The preseason we heard how well Mahogany was dominating in practice. What was the dramatic issue with his poor grades in game one?
Um, he, I don't know. Like he looked good at the beginning. Like he had a couple pulls where he got out and smashed people.
Yeah, Quay Walker
Um,
got destroyed
right,
by him on one play.
right. And then to me, it almost felt like with the interior offensive line, it almost felt like they were struggling and looking for answers, and then almost went into a individual I have to do my job plus more type of thing. We talk about this like
So
with the skill players a lot, right?
Well, with
Yeah.
Anzalone, right, early in the season where he's compensating
Yeah.
for the players around him.
And so it almost felt like they were pressing the issue, and they were trying to get in their gaps and ahead of things, and they were losing balance. Mahogany he got knocked off balance. He got knocked down once
Yeah.
on a outside zone, and that just doesn't happen. He's this big physically strong guy, and he just got caught. Like he got caught moving and trying to get into a spot. Like I haven't seen him get knocked down like that ever, right? And so I think it was them pressing, right? They get behind, you're feeling like you're getting beat, and now you start pressing and you start making more mistakes when you press like that, and it just seemed to compound, I think they actually played worse in the second half than in the first half.
Yeah.
And so hopefully you get the reset, you get them calmed down. You have an incredible offensive line coach that can help settle them. Being at home is certainly going to help as well. And so there's promise and there's hope, right? And but it seems like a lot of it is just they have to mentally get themselves prepared in a different way. Be prepared within the game, stay within themselves within the game, and then be able to make the adjustments, execute. And that's an experience thing. I thought Mahogany showed well in last year in those situations. And so I was surprised that he had a harder time in Green Bay. And then Tate, I kind of understood a little bit more. And so maybe coming home will help settle him down a little bit.
Yeah, I want to kind of break down some of these plays in particular with our live audience here during the break, just to kind of highlight some of the things we're talking about. There was also one play, and I don't think this was a stereotypical problem on Sunday, where they were just outnumbered. Like they should have never been in that play, where it was they had 5 defenders on that side of the ball and they had 4 guys blocking, and it was just like that never stood a chance. But again, I think I only say that to highlight that this is not just like a, hey, let's flip the switch here and everything's going to be fine. Like it's a multifaceted problem, like it always is, right? Like it's never as simple as,
sure,
hey, as long as everyone has the right call, we're going to be fine. They also need to improve in a lot of other ways.
Yeah, and look, we also have to keep in mind situation, right? In the second half of that game, the Packers know the Lions are going to have to throw because they're not running the ball really well. They're behind. And so now they're just teeing off. And so now you're basically, as an offensive lineman, you're playing on your heels the whole rest of the game. And that's harder. Coming up next week against the Bears, Dennis Allen's defense is similar to the Lions. They're going to be trying to stop the run on their way to pass rush. And so, hopefully that gives, the offensive line a little bit more of a grace period as well. So there's signs that they can turn around. But when it comes to the fact that it's a lot of our criticisms are based on inexperience, it's hard to really say they'll be fine by next week. It might be, it could take longer or maybe they will. It's hard to know.
Yep. All right. Next question here comes from Lions for Life Detroit on Twitter. Asks, how much does the lack of creativity and lack of motion in play calling amplify the poor offensive line play because of how much longer it takes for Goff to find the open man and diagnose the coverage? So this was I don't know if you saw, Erik, but this is something that our friend Brett Whitefield pointed out in Pride of Detroit Direct, where pre-snap motion was near like 75 to 80% last year, and it was at like 22 or 25% in week 1. And I think some people are talking about creativity in terms of play calling, in terms of route running and things like that. I know I stoked the fire a little bit with some screenshots on Twitter, but to me, it was more about route spacing than it was like overall concepts. Like a lot of times it felt like there were just too many wide receivers in the same spot. I think I don't, you look at the passing chart and you assume like, oh my God, why are they only throwing short passes? They just kept throwing these designed short passes. And that's not what that was, right? That was the Lions dialed up deep shots and they weren't there.
Right.
And the reason they weren't there, again, like it's multifaceted. It's not just one thing. I think the main thing is because that's what the Packers do.
Correct.
And we've talked about it. We talked about it plenty last week, and they play these deep shells where basically almost everybody is in zone, and so everyone's eyes are forward and keeping everything in front of them, forcing the lines to check down. But a lot of it, I think, was also route spacing a little bit. I felt like there weren't that many opportunities because everyone just felt like they were in the same area. They were making the Packers' job a little bit easy, and I don't know if that's play design. I don't know if that's wide receiver error. I don't know if that's not teaching the technical details enough. Hopefully that's something that gets figured out. But I do think like pass protection was an issue, no doubt. But there were times in which Jared Goff had enough time. And I think I saw maybe a single play where it's like, yeah, he probably should have let that one go. The other ones are just like, I don't know what I would have done. There was nothing there.
There was a couple times when he let it go a little early too, like because he was feeling the pressure.
Sure.
But like I want to point to one screenshot that you had put on Twitter where it was basically like 5 curls, or I'm sorry, four curls, all at the same depth.
Yep.
That's an error. Like if that's your play call, then throw that one in the garbage, right? Yeah. Because that doesn't make any sense. Like you could guard that with 3 guys, much less 4, and so. That had to be an error somewhere, right? Like somebody made and maybe multiple, right? Like who knows? I don't know what that play call would be, but if that is a legitimate play call that Morton has in his playbook, go in and rip it out of the playbook right now because that's a terrible call. Like I get the idea of what you're trying to do by trying to get the first down and you're trying to get them to the right distance and stuff like that, but it didn't feel like they had any layered concepts. Like if you want to beat zone, you run like crossers, 1 at 5, 1 at 15, right? It didn't seem like they had a lot of layered concepts. And so it didn't seem like they had a lot of zone beater play calls, right? Yep. It's almost like they didn't, like they went out there trying to say, we're going to play our game and that's good enough, as opposed to saying we need to beat the Packers defense that's in front of us. Yep. Whereas I felt like it was the exact opposite. The Packers were like, we know how to beat press man. We in this situation, like for example, the goal line, the touchdown where they run the pick play on Terrion, like that's a perfect red zone press man beater, right?
Yep.
And like that was specifically called to beat Detroit in this system. And they said, look, in this situation, this is the look we're expecting to get. We run this route. We're going to leave Terry on, make him dip underneath or go over the top. If he goes over the top, it's a quicker out. And if he goes underneath, then it's a touchdown. And so they had these very specific plays that were designed and they executed them perfectly. The deep pass to Dobbs that went like 40 yards or whatever it was.
Yep.
That was against cover 3, and that was a perfect cover 3 beater because they ran crossers, right? And so the first crosser under it's a layered cross with a deep post, and so they run a crosser underneath that causes the outside shallow man to take that guy. Then they run the 15-yard crosser, which causes the center fielder to have to take that guy because that gap is now vacated from the underneath guy.
Right.
And now you've got your outside coverage trying to guard a post that's going middle deep. It was a perfect zone beater.
Yep.
And again, the Lions played it exactly like they're supposed to. They keyed off their guys. The problem was that was a perfectly designed route. Right. And it was perfectly executed. And like the defense read their keys, made their plays, did exactly what they were supposed to do. And it still was just the perfect play call against the defense that the Lions were running. And you have to tip your hat to LaFleur for those designs in those plays.
Right. But at the same time, I mean, this is getting out coached, right? This is
Well,
what this is what it looks like when you're getting out
predictable?
coached.
This
Right.
is, I mean, like this was were you a little bit too predictable in what you were
Right.
calling? Yeah, and certainly I mean, everyone's going to tell you that they got out coached in this
Yes.
game. You don't get beat like that if you're not out coached, right?
And it's interesting to bring it back to the Lions offense when you talk about those layered concepts. I think about two of the most successful plays that the Lions had on Sunday, and they were both layered concept. One was the Sam Laporta one where you had basically like a middle of the field curl from Amon-Ra St. Brown drawing the attention in the short, and you have Laporta going right over him.
Yep. And you
then,
had another guy taking the safety deeper too.
Yes.
So
Yep.
then you hit him right in the middle of it. Yep.
Yep. And then the other one is the JMO 11-yard gain on 4th and 2, where you have, again, Amon-Ra kind of running the seam route, pulling a couple defenders with him, forcing the guy that was on St. Brown or on JMO to like have to run around that coverage, kind of similar to how Terrion had to in on the touchdown play. And I mean, JMO didn't have a defender within 15 feet of him. Like, he was that wide open. And so I think if there's a area to point to, like you said, on offense, it's that. It's like you just need to run some of those layered concepts, which the Lions did a lot last year. They attacked the middle of that field all the time with concepts like that. So it was a little bit surprising to see the Lions just not be able to figure out that or run certain plays like that in ways in a consistent basis, I guess. All right. Do we have time for one more? Yeah, we can fit one more in here. Let's go to Kyle L., who asks, were our receivers getting open and Goff not seeing it, or was it taking too long? Seemed like there were several times there were dropbacks that you could see Goff go through multiple reads downfield and dump it off to Gibbs. The interior pressure didn't help, but sometimes he had decent pocket to go through his reads and would still dump it off. Goff looked panicked from the pressure and no one being open. So this is kind of related to everything we just said there, where I think the pressure was a problem, but there were enough times where he had enough and the looks just weren't there.
Yeah, and as the game went on and they were behind and you get into like the late third, fourth quarter, now they're just dropping shells all day because they know they're trying to push it deep, and they're like, we know you're going to go deep, so we're just going to guard deep and we're going to let you dink and dunk it all the way down the field. And so there's situational aspects of this. There's the overall initial game planning that factored in this. There was times when he would get pressured and then maybe he could hear the footsteps a little bit, but it starts with the the defensive scheme and not being able to attack it early. If they would have been able to execute some intermediate routes, some play passes into the intermediate level and stretch the defense a little bit, I think it would have opened things up. It would have opened things up for the run game. It would have opened things up in the pass game. But as soon as you weren't able to get that and they started to struggle, they started changing concepts and they just became more predictable, and it was easier for the defense to take advantage.
I think the other problem here is that when you're losing the running game battle and the Packers are only, 4-man fronts dropping 7, I mean, that's half the reason for your red zone struggles right there. If you can't run block against a non-stacked box, you are just going to see light boxes, ton of coverage. And I don't care how complicated or nuanced or glitz and glamoury your offense is. When defenses are dropping 7 into coverage in the red zone, you have no space to work. 0. You need to be able to pass block and run against those kind of defenses, and the Lions weren't in either of those cases. And that makes Jared Goff's job nearly impossible. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the defense. We're going to look a little bit ahead to Chicago and answer more of your Detroit Lions questions when we come back here on the Midweek Mailbag. We'll be right back. Whoa. YouTube comments just came flying in. That was weird. Anyways. All right. We'll answer some of your guys' questions. Maybe look over a little bit of tape just for funsies, because I enjoy doing that and I like pointing out what I find to other people, and maybe you guys know some things as well that you want to look at. Like if there's a specific play that maybe you want us to look at, break down, we can do that. But let me get to some alerts first. AP Rambo, 54 months subscribed on Twitch. It says, Erik, calm me down.
Well, it might take a little longer than we thought, but the talent is on this team is there.
Yeah.
Like it is. I think being at home is going to be exactly the medicine that they need.
D Parente, 28 months subscribed on Twitch. Appreciate that. Alien Vivitor, 54 months as well, says it was just one game, made it feel worse due to a long off season. After 54 months, I've learned to trust the process. I like that attitude. Ducklion, 31 months, says good news. I met the devil at the crossroads in Georgia and beat him in a fiddle contest. He granted me one wish, and let's just say things are going to be looking up for the good old loins.
Nice, appreciate that.
Now I'm going to have that song stuck in my head all day. A quarter, thank you for the 35 months subscribed on Twitch, says tough game, but no doubt we will get things fixed. Yeah, if the Lions go out and run for 200 yards against the Bears, we all have to thank Ducklion for selling his soul.
Yeah.
Or I guess, no, you don't give up your soul in that song. If you lose, the devil gets your soul.
Well, yeah. Yes, in the battle.
All right. We are caught up. Did you have any plays that you wanted to point out?
I don't think there's anything in particular. I talked about a couple that I thought were kind of stood out, like a couple of the ones where it was like, what do you do? What do you do when they have the right play call against you? And against the zone, or against the zone or the man, that coverage that you have called, and it's tough. It is. You're gonna get beat on those sometimes.
I want to show the one play where I just thought they needed to get out of it. Like it was not the right play call. I think this is it. Let me share it with you so you can watch it along with us. You guys need to be able to see it too. Okay. All right. Okay, so with Quay Walker moving to the middle, and maybe they just don't see it, but you're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Packers defenders, 1, 2, 3, 4 Lions blockers. Like they're already at a disadvantage because they need Graham to get to Quay Walker from here, and it's just like it's not going to happen. Sorry. They need him to get to this defender. Both linebackers are a problem here. Because Quay is moved into the middle of the field, it's supposed to be, I think Graham is supposed to come around and get 56. No one has Quay Walker.
Yeah, that's just Gibbs got a beat.
Right. And then you have both holes are basically plugged by both linebackers here. There's nothing Gibbs can do.
Well, Mahogany's got your back end sealed.
Yep.
Right. So it means Graham's supposed to come up and get 56.
Right.
Right.
Which is hard already.
Yeah. He's a little chip block.
Like he does an okay job. It's not that bad, but there's no one to account for Quay Walker.
Right.
Okay, this is who it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be Laporta, but because he's moved so far, look, Laporta is tracking Quay Walker the entire time. But how's he supposed to get there?
Yeah.
That play is dead on arrival because of Quay Walker moving at the very last second. He starts right here. The play might work here. But no one notices him drift to the center right there. And I don't know if that's Quay noticing something. because he does it like right at the end. Tells his linebacker to shift. And I mean, it's over.
Gibbs has got to run at Panay's back a little harder there as well, because he has a two-way go here. So he can go up the middle, because the way the Mahogany has that sealed, he couldn't come up the middle. But if Quay fills that, now his next gap is I have to get to Panay's outside shoulder.
Right.
And so if he's the Brock Wright, assuming he can take Gary out of it, he's got to get to Panay. So right there, as soon as he sees the gap in front of him is filled with Quay, he's got to get to Panay. And he gets there, and then he turns it up because Graham loses 56?
Yeah.
Because Graham can't get on. Because, see, Graham's expecting it behind him. So when Graham hits 56, he's pushing him into the gap.
Yep.
And he actually pushes him into the gap that Gibbs has to go to because of Quay.
Right.
Yeah.
It just feels like that play didn't have any chance of
it
success.
The linebacker shift kills that play. It's probably a good pre-scouting by them, I'd say.
That's what I would think too. Broadcast, I'd rather watch end zone when it comes to running plays here. I'm trying to think if there was another one that I wanted to watch. A lot of people wanted to watch. I mean, we're not going to give you a satisfying answer on the goal line run that was like, it was clearly something that Ratledge didn't get, right?
Oh yeah, he went the one where he just disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason for him to vacate that. And everyone else stays. So they must have checked into something.
And this was kind of another problem here. You can't see it here, but you can kind of tell by Goff's repeated clapping here. They're running up against the clock, the play clock.
Mm-hmm. See, he's checking right there.
Yep.
He's checking into the second play.
You can tell hurried, doesn't know what's happening, and
he pulls to get one, and he doesn't need to.
Right, because
that leaves
that one is already getting double teamed essentially by Panay and Laporta.
Well, and Panay's trying to reach up to he goes up.
Right, it's actually pretty well blocked by everyone else. Like, look at this room right here.
If Ratledge runs the 3 gap, if Ratledge runs the 1 tech,
if he runs him to the right, his left,
that's a 5-yard gain.
Yeah, I mean, it ultimately doesn't matter because this is a 3rd and 16 anyways. So
yeah, but
whatever.
you're going up the gut there.
Yeah,
I mean you can see where the gap was.
Yeah,
but why he vacates, I don't know. That's a miscommunication.
Yep.
It's very clear he didn't know what was. The play was checked, and he didn't hear the check.
Right.
Okay, can you look at Graham for a sec?
Yep.
Okay. Question is why did Graham double? No, yeah, right, because he's supposed to. He's supposed to,
and then get to the second level.
He's supposed to hit there and then get to the second level. Yeah. Graham's call here is assuming that Ratledge is taking the 1. He's going to hit the 3 and then peel up to take the next level. That's Graham's assignment. Ratledge it was supposed to take the nose, and he didn't, and I don't know why.
Yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to highlight.
They did do silent count. Dr. DJ Ron Love, they did silent count. I don't know if that play was silent count, because Jeremy, you said you could hear him clapping.
You can see him. You can see him clapping right here. Like,
oh right. So it's probably not silent. Yep. Yeah. if he, yeah, that's just a mistake. There was another one where Ratledge, the play that you showed initially.
Yeah.
There was a play just like that one where Ratledge does something similar, where the play is designed to pull right and he goes left. and he ends
Yeah.
up doubling the guy and they end up doubling the guy right in front that they're supposed to wash out. And it's just,
Yeah, I mean, I took a video and put it on Twitter in case you haven't seen it. I can pull it up here. Lines are on the 45.
see,
Outside
because the guy that the nose is designed to be able to just wash him with one guy because he is closer. So they pull Graham on the farther guy to hit the reach block, and then he can go up and then get to the second level cleaner. If he tries to double the nose in that situation, he may not get off the nose, and then you have one less blocker to get to the second level that they want.
Okay, so this is another one. Check at the line.
Is this
Changing something here? This is where Ratledge just almost looks like he's blocking Graham.
Yeah, is this the one where it goes outside and he just goes the wrong way? Yes. Yeah. He doesn't know he's supposed to go right. Right? He's either yeah, it's almost like he's trying to pull around Graham,
Yes.
and he doesn't.
Right.
He just runs right into him. Yep. They call out 7. Ratledge should be up in the hole on 7 on that one.
Right. Like maybe get a hand on 96 to help Graham get leverage, then get to the
Yeah, that's a double, and then peel to get 7. And Ratledge, in this case, Ratledge should be the one who peels off.
Right. Because
it almost looks like he tries to dip underneath.
I mean, that's another one where it's probably a big run, where it's just like everyone else is on everyone else. Like,
and again, 7's the guy who gets him, right?
Yep.
So in this scenario, now you double the nose and you have your outside Ratledge get off that one. Yep.
Yeah.
But he just jams right into him and he can't get off.
Graham actually does a pretty good job almost getting to Quay.
There's no way Graham's supposed to get to Quay on that one, though. But not with it running right like that. That's got to be Ratledge. But Ratledge steps behind him. Graham, that's all. That move by Graham is just him saying, "Oh crap, I'm now going to pass my guy off and get out."
Right.
Because he shouldn't be dipping under like that. He just recognizes he's in trouble and tries to reach him.
It's very strange. This one I think is
so Ratledge the original play was probably a gap play, and when they checked into a zone, into an outside zone, and so when he pulls behind, when he steps behind Graham to try and get out, it was probably a gap play left, and he didn't get the check. But again, it's all of these that we're seeing is Goff tapping his helmet, which is checking into the second play, and Ratledge isn't getting the adjustment.
This to me is an example of what I was saying of Graham maybe not trusting the guys on each side of him, and just he should be cleaning out Quay here, number 7 or no 56. But like Cooper. You can see he's getting a hand on the 1 here to help Mahogany. He does the same here with Ratledge, gets a hand on him, and then just whiffs at the next level. And that's the thing that forces him to...
I bet that's by design, though. I bet they're telling him...
That's asking
push off. It is. I bet they're telling him to push, and then close. Because he's actually square. He just loses him.
Yeah, I mean...
right?
I just think
it is a tough ask. It's
the
really
linebacking core that's good. That I'm assuming that's Edgerrin Cooper. I don't remember what his number is. 55.
Yeah, 56.
56. Yeah. Like what do you expect to happen here?
Yeah, no, that's
Graham
tough.
To do all that.
He's really just supposed to tap. Like if he doesn't reach for Tate's guy on his right, he probably sets in better. Yeah. Well, he probably sits in better.
Oh, yeah.
Because in all honesty, Tate's got his guy.
Right.
But I bet Graham is going through the process of what he's taught.
Right.
And now he oversets because he's reaching to touch that guy. So then he oversets and he gets cut back on. Yeah. That's a design flaw. He's got it. But Graham should also be like, okay, I know I don't have to literally touch the guy. He's trying
Right.
to be perfect.
Right.
And instead of adjusting on the fly, he's he's executing what he's supposed to do. And that's a flaw.
I wonder if he's also
Mahogany,
is he getting pushed by the one?
he shouldn't be.
Not really.
No. No, and look at Mahogany wash that guy out too. That's exactly what Mahogany's supposed to do. And then Graham should seal the lane in front. Mahogany runs this guy right out, run right off the back of Mahogany. If Graham closes 56, now you got whoever JMO take. You got to beat the guy JMO doesn't hit, and then that could be 6.
Yeah, I know, because like look at the backside. You got
Oh yeah,
Laporta with a good enough block there, and I think that's
a huge gap. If Graham hits 56, that's a touchdown.
yeah.
Almost, but almost maybe not 100%, but you're talking about you're getting inside the 5-yard line there.
Yeah.
That's just him being too technical. He needs to play a little freer.
I do like what Comeback Trapper is saying as well. Like you have all of this motion, you have Amon-Ra going that way, Laporta going that way, but look at 7 and 56. There's a little bit of motion there, but like once the play starts, like they are flat-footed.
Mm-hmm. You should be able
they
to
were
nail 'em.
so disciplined in this game that it was like it just felt like they were in the right spot at all the time. I wanted to get to some pass rush stuff, but I feel like we should talk about it on the podcast before we start breaking down some of the film on it, because one of the questions is going to highlight. So maybe we do that after the second segment. I'm glad my computer is holding up. Stop share. There we go. Wait, wrong button. You want to listen to the theme song again? There we go. All right. $1.99 super chat over on YouTube from Rerun says the Lions O-line slipped a lot. Equipment issue? I mean, maybe.
I saw Gibbs slip a lot too.
Gibbs slipped a lot too. It is kind of a Lambo thing.
Yeah.
But I do think that did happen a couple times too. The player has to.
I feel like it was like that last year in Lambeau too, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
But that one we attributed that to the rain.
Yeah, true.
Maybe Lambeau just sucks.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that. Thanks, Experiment. I do enjoy doing it. Maybe we just jump right into the second segment. I think I'm through the alerts. What?
Gonna hydrate by water. Yeah.
You know, I need more questions. Give me some more questions. Chat. I'll throw one of them in the live stream, in the live show, I should say. Was it this much O-line miscommunication in training camp? If not, can we attribute this mostly to the crowd noise in Lambeau? There was some, for sure.
Not this much though. But
no.
It's also really hard to tell.
That's what I was gonna say. Like we're getting the benefit of all these replays. We're at like it's sometimes the worst angle, ground level as well.
Yeah,
it's very hard. I mean, you even hear Dan Campbell say it all the time. Like, I'm gonna have to go back and check the film because he's standing on the sidelines with a tough view of every play. So, it's hard to say. I will say it's the dangers of reporting in training camp when you're like, hey, wow, this Lions defensive line looks awesome and disruptive. The other side of that is, well, your offensive line is allowing a lot of disruption, right? So there needs to be balance in those observations, and I don't know. Dan says Tesla is getting a higher number of steps. Who takes a dip to get them there? Khalif. Yeah. Yeah.
Khalif had 44 snaps. That was 66%. Last year, if he got more than 12, I think I was surprised,
Yeah,
right?
right.
But 66 is right around your wide receiver three.
Yep.
That's kind of close to what like Tim Patrick was getting last year. But I do think Khalif's numbers will go down. Tesla's numbers will go up, and or Tesla's numbers. I need to really hit that emphasis. Still, I'm still trying. It's just I'm trying to talk too fast, I guess.
Um, I forgot what we were talking about, or what I was going to talk about. Um, shoot, I don't know. Oh, well, in case you didn't hear from Dan Campbell on Monday, the reason why Tesla didn't play was because he missed two practices. Or one practice?
Right. One and limited, and the
One in
second.
limited and the other. And so they just didn't feel comfortable putting him in too many packages because he had missed that much practice and he's a rookie and this is his first game. It's
He'll
certainly
help.
sounded like they wanted to play him more.
Yeah, like he's, you're talking about a big fast athlete as opposed to a speed athlete. Like Cleve's good, but you used him the way that he should be used. You didn't really use him you didn't really have an X in that game,
Right.
you know? So you should put that into play and should help.
Ross, I'll take that question and I'll use it on the show because I think special teams is something that is a little surprisingly frustrating right now.
Where's the question?
I'll tell you what it is. Now, I know it's Jeremy's favorite topics, but any thoughts on the continued struggles of the kickoffs and kick return?
I didn't rewatch any of that.
I also didn't, but I still have some thoughts. With Hutch and Davenport having not played in 10 plus months, can we expect some improvement week over week as they get in game shape?
I would hope so.
I'm going to have a hot take. I don't think either were bad. I didn't like how they used a couple of those players.
Yeah, I mostly rewatched the offense. That's really where my I didn't have as much time on the rewatch as I wanted to, and so I mostly spent time on the offense. So I don't have a ton to say, just because I thought the defense got better as the game went. So I wasn't as worried about that. So I wanted to focus a little bit harder on the offense. I also assume that's where most of our questions were going to be.
They were. I watched the first three quarters, all 22, and then I went to running game, and then I went to third down defense. And some of the third down defense stuff is where I found some interesting things some that I like, some that I didn't like. Spoiler with Aiden. They were messing with him too much. They were looping him around too much. They were dropping him into coverage too much. I would have liked to see him just go straight up a little bit more. And I understand the reason why they're doing that, right? They don't want him to just stand there and get chipped by a tight end and double teamed and all that sort of stuff. But when he's taken all this time to loop all the way to the other side, it's like they're getting the ball out too fast. He's not even getting an opportunity to rush the passer. And instead you're relying on, blitzing guys up the A gap or bigger bodied guys crashing down and trying to take two linemen with them. Just let him line up, dude. We saw him beat Panay one-on-one all the time. Go let him embarrass Zach Tom a little bit.
Not all the time, but yes, it happened.
It happened.
So I just saw, question about Branch. Why are they using Branch near the line more? That's run defense. That's designed for run defense, and they're also setting up him, blitzing him later. That's something they've been doing. They did all camp. They'll bring him up to linebacker level, and then they can drop him. They can rush him. They can have him there for run support. It's just another element of what makes Branch fluid.
Yeah.
He's not going to be up there all the time. It's just they'll bring him up in certain situations. I think it's certainly our defensive line is certainly limited without a Leam because you're not getting a lot of pass rush out of DJ Reader, and Tyleek is still learning it. And so, and then Pat O'Connor, who I thought might get some inside snaps, he played, I think, 13 of his 14 snaps on the edge.
Yeah.
Right. And so, um, it didn't seem like they had a lot of interior push, which is why they blitzed in the middle.
Yeah.
And the Packers, like I said, like we said previously, they were prepared for it.
Yeah. We'll talk about, because I know one of the solutions that you talked about on POD is using Hutchinson a little bit more inside, which they didn't do.
Yeah.
Much of all.
They tried Muhammad inside a couple of times, but it didn't really work.
It worked a little bit.
Okay.
This is going to be one of my takes for the actual shows. I think they should be using Muhammad more because he got like 6 snaps, 7 snaps, 7 snaps.
No, it was a little more, wasn't it? I feel like
Muhammad got maybe 7 snaps.
Maybe that should be more. The thing is it's hard when when Hutchinson's getting 96% of the snaps, and then you're playing 3 linebackers 90% of the time as well.
Right.
That it just becomes hard sledding. Chaos Cam, they started using play action more in the second half when they started having more success.
Right. That's not the play I thought it was. Sorry, I'm watching plays to try to find the ones that I was looking for. Yeah, that was one. Okay. Oh, there was Dan Campbell on the radio again this morning.
So Joshua has a long question about if Ratlich doesn't get it, is Manu an option? No. I'm halfway through the question, and I'm already going to say Manu's not an option. Let me just make sure I got the whole thing now.
No, I mean, they haven't played. The Manu at guard stuff never came to fruition. Let's be clear there. That he hasn't gotten any reps at guard.
No. He's got to learn. He's got to learn tackle first. Yeah, I think, look, if for whatever reason Ratlich doesn't pan out, which I don't think will be the case,
right,
then they would turn to Coyote. Yeah, it wouldn't be a situation where they're trying to shift around an athlete like Manu. Manu's got his own demons to make or devils to make deals with in order to get on the field.
So I keep forgetting that Dan Campbell talks to the radio on Tuesday mornings.
Oh yeah.
He apparently said that he would have considered playing their young guards a little bit more. It said with those two in the preseason. So with those two guys, yeah, we could have played them a little bit more, but there again, you're not going against their starters. That's why I like joint practices. Later saying, quote, just to get in the flow of the game, yeah, probably could have played Tate Ratledge and Mahogany more in the preseason. It's not like more reps is going to hurt them. It's going to help them. So, yeah, certainly we could have played them a little more. Well, that I'm a little bit surprised to hear him admit that because we talked about it on the podcast yesterday, and I thought if he were to get asked that he'd kind of be stubborn about it, and the reasoning is there's a lot of reasoning there. One, because the way he's suggesting it there, they wouldn't be playing with the other first team offensive line, right? I don't think there's a question that Dan did not want to put Frank Greg, oh, jeez. Graham.
He even
Decker.
said, "I'm not going to play I'm not going to play
Yeah.
Decker." Right? He
Right.
said that during the.
That's
preseason.
what I said. Like I said in the podcast, like he laughed off the idea of playing the starting offensive lineman.
Oh yeah, he was sarcastic about it.
Yes,
it was one of his few times where he made a sarcastic joke
yes.
that no one thought was funny.
Right. That's a good point. But yeah, this makes maybe a little bit more sense, but also like he's, you know, if you play Ratledge and Mahogany with the rest of the twos, how much experience are they gaining there? Like how much is that improving his chemistry with the guys that he's not even playing with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think there was a chance that they'd do that. And they certainly weren't going to. This was the other point I made last night, which is you got to remember, first of all, that Decker was injured.
Yeah.
For most of the preseason. So even if you were going to put the first team offensive line out there, it probably was going to either involve Jamarco Jones or
Skipper
or Manu at left tackle. And if that's the case, don't put Jared Goff out there, for Christ's sake.
Hi, Brett.
Hey, thanks for the 18 months, buddy.
You missed Jeremy talking about you.
Yeah, I've done a very bad job of like giving away everything that you're saying in the Pride of Detroit newsletter. I'm just giving away what you said for free. Just talking about the pre-snap motion stuff. Anyways, I do find it interesting that Dan, I don't know if he's admitting a mistake, but admitting that could have been an option for them.
I think I don't know. I think Dan is more open to.
He's not stubborn.
No, but I. It's a weird analogy, but you've seen the Keanu Reeves meme things where he's like, I'm at a point in my life where I don't argue with people. If you say 1 + 1 is 5, I say, cool, have a nice day. Like, and so I feel like Dan's almost at that level where he's like, oh, you think I should play more in the preseason?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, well, maybe I could have. All right, have a nice day.
Just super agreeable.
Yeah.
To avoid any sort of confrontation.
I feel like he's like that on the radio. Because the other thing the other time when he was like, well, maybe I kept their focus on the number 1 seed, and yeah, maybe that was it. You know, have a nice day.
Yeah, mate. I'll have to go back and like listen to what the tone is like before I write something up on that. But it's interesting. There's a reason we brought it up on the podcast yesterday. Like it's gotten to a point where they've been slow out of the gate for a few years running, that I think it warrants at least a discussion. I still don't think that it would have done much, but at the same time, there's a reason why he did play Tate Ratledge in the preseason, right?
Mm-hmm. I look, if you want to make a parallel between not playing them in the preseason and then getting out of the gate slow, I get it. Like, I get that. Because it's 2 years in a row. We've kind of seen them start a little slow, but again, is that the catalyst or is it something else? You know what I mean? It's hard for us to say definitively, like, you play them in the preseason, and you'll be ready to go in week 1. Maybe
they're getting to the week 1 game plan too late, right? You talked about how it seemed like they were prepared and I think Risden said something very similar, whereas like the Lions were prepared to play football, the Packers were prepared to play the Lions.
Yeah, well, I would say that's accurate.
Yeah, and so maybe it's just like they're so hyper focused on internal stuff and roster cuts and all that sort of stuff, and they start game planning on Monday. Maybe you can do that a little bit earlier. I don't know, but I do like that you're pointing out that, like, yes, it's easy to dot connect here to here, but there's also dots here that probably need to be considered as well.
Yeah.
Tate looked fine in the preseason, but what did he get, like 15 snaps? That ain't enough to judge a performance. All right. 24 snaps in the preseason. I know Jordan Love played like maybe one series. He went like 1 for 6 for 7 yards. So not a ton. All right. Let's get back to the show. I think we're good there, and we'll answer more of your questions and maybe go over a little defensive tape when we're done with the second segment here. All right. Here we go. Welcome back to the Midweek Mailbag, answering your Detroit Lions questions. We talked a lot about the offense in segment 1. Let's start off with a defensive question here from our good friends at Talkin' Grit. It says, in the third down plays of the Packers' first couple drives, the Lions had DJ Reader in. Why do you think they didn't go with a more of a pass rush package like Al-Qadim Muhammad and push Hutchinson inside?
It's a great question. That's something that we have speculated as well. It's not clear. Now, again, I don't remember exactly the down and distances. Maybe it was like, if it was under 5 yards, maybe they were still expecting to run. I don't know.
It wasn't.
I also think DJ Reader is one of their best defensive tackles, regardless of situation. And so that could be that they want to keep him in. But I do agree that there is a very obvious lack of pass rush from the interior. And so situations where you put Muhammad on the edge and kick Aiden inside is something that they should certainly consider moving forward, because he has a history there of being successful, and they certainly need to find ways to create penetration from different angles without using the blitz.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things to point out here. One is that the Lions went away from this pretty quickly with DJ Reader being in these pass rushing situations, because I think they found out, this doesn't work. And so you did see a little bit of Al-Qadim Muhammad. You didn't see Hutchinson line up inside, I don't think ever, but he certainly looped inside quite a bit. And I think the reasoning why you started with DJ Reader is because they hope to generate pass rush with their linebackers. And you know who's really good at occupying blockers to free up your linebackers?
Yeah.
DJ Reader. I think that is the strategic thought behind that. It didn't play out that way in particular, but I think that's the hope, is that you get DJ Reader just kind of being that guy who crashes into the offensive line and takes 2 offensive linemen with him. It didn't work out that way.
They also tried to get tricky their first 3 third down defenses, where they dropped an edge rusher and then overloaded a side. And so maybe he's just part of that package, right?
Right.
And it's possible that's why he saw some extra looks in those situations as well. But I mean, for the game, he saw 77% of the defensive snaps. That's too much. That's way too much. I know it's only 37 snaps on the whole, and maybe he should be, when you have a normal 60 game offensive, 60 snaps offensive performance. Yeah. If he's still on the field for only 35, then I'm fine. I'm okay with it. Right. But if he's exceeding 40 snaps a game and he's still, having this higher level of percentage, that's not good for him. That's not what the Lions want either. He's good, but he has a purpose, and you need to find more ways to get an interior pass rush presence, in my opinion.
I mean, the other factor here is too, they were shorthanded on the defensive line, period.
Yeah. They didn't even play Tyler Lacey.
Right. Tyler Lacey was still getting his bearings. They didn't.
Wingo
activate.
was still coming back.
Wingo was not active. Neither was the other edge.
Chris Smith wasn't active. And then the edge rusher Wheat wasn't active either.
Right. And so they
didn't use Pat O'Connor inside. Right. They kept him on the outside. So it was, there's options, but
I think the frustrating part to me was I thought Al-Qadim Muhammad looked good in the preseason, and to see him only have 7 snaps to me didn't make a lot of sense because he actually did get a really good pressure late in the game. He's actually the Lions' highest graded defender. He only played 7 snaps, so he didn't really qualify for that. But 4 pass rushing reps, 87.6 pass rushing grade. I think he deserves a bigger role in some of these pressure packages, particularly before Ali McNeil gets back. But we'll see how that goes. I think with the pass rush in general, the ultimate thing that I came away with, and the Lions did too, right? Like Dan said, we tried a lot of these stunt things and blitzing the linebackers, sending extra pressures. It didn't work. He shouted out the Packers again. Jordan Love gets the ball out quickly. He manipulates the pocket well. The running backs were doing one hell of a job in pass protection for them, which is both like credit to them and also like, hey, linebackers, you need to do a better job. You can't have running backs clear you out. But then they simplified everything, right? They went a little simpler in the second half and said, okay, you know what? This isn't working. Let's not do all the loop-de-loo stuff. Let's just have our guys try to beat their guys. And it worked a little bit better. It wasn't great, but it worked a little bit better. Like I said, Al-Qadim Muhammad won some one-on-one reps. That's where they're going to have to improve too, is just win your one-on-ones. Because Aiden's going to have to do a lot to deal with extra attention. Someone there is going to have to win their one-on-ones. I think Davenport is capable of winning on one-on-ones. Al-Qadim Muhammad might be able to win some interior one-on-ones. And then we'll see who else. I do think they're going to mix personnel a lot because Dan Campbell kind of said it. He's like, hey, we're going to see who can win on their one-on-ones, and we're going to tweak the roster if we need to. So that's where I think they're at with their pass rush. Next question here comes from Lions Lifer. Says, what is the Sonic Knuckles split going forward? Seems like John is leaning heavily on Gibbs.
Yeah, their split was almost 2-1. Not quite, but it was pretty close. Gibbs had 44 snaps. Montgomery had 25. So not quite 2-1, but definitely leaning in Gibbs' favor. Some of that certainly was because they were behind, and Gibbs gives them that pass catching element that they needed. Obviously, they went to him a lot, checked down to him 10 times. But he started, and I think that is a real indicator that there's a bit of a changing of the guard coming this year, and Gibbs is probably going to get the majority of snaps. Now, I say that today, full well knowing Montgomery might get more snaps this week because it's the Bears.
Right.
But in a normal week, beyond the Bears, I expect Gibbs to outsnap Montgomery pretty much every other non-Bears game.
Yeah. I'm looking and trying to do some math here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Montgomery got 9 snaps in the second half.
Yeah, because they're behind. Yeah.
Yep. The majority of his work came in the first half, and I think he had a total of 25 snaps. So 16 in the first half. That's your more balanced look in the first half when it's a neutral type of game. Jameer's the guy that you're going to have in 2-minute drill. He's the guy you're going to have when you're playing from behind because he can catch the ball. Not that Montgomery can't, and Montgomery caught a couple too, but yeah. I think it mostly has to do with play situation, but this is also something that I warned you guys of. Like this, I said this is the year that where Jahmyr Gibbs probably takes the 1A away from David Montgomery, and David Montgomery assumes the 1B rule. And David Montgomery is saying it on podcast, right? Like this guy's about to he's about to look like the best running back in football, and you give that guy the more snaps than you give David Montgomery, even though David Montgomery was a better back in terms of like success rate, which I talked about on the podcast. Like his success rate was fine. David Montgomery ran the ball just fine. I know the 2 point whatever yards per carry doesn't look great, but I think his success rate was around 45, which is about league average, maybe a little bit better. Whereas Gibbs was 22. Like I think he was the 3rd worst success rate amongst any running back last week. And that it's not to say that it's all on Jahmyr Gibbs, but certainly doesn't help when you turn like a 1-yard loss into a 7-yard loss in the red zone.
If you watch that that podcast on the Pivot podcast where the
Yes.
Gibbs and Montgomery were on. Montgomery, it's a sensational look at who he is as a person and his mindset. And you also get the distinct, you know, awareness that he knows Gibbs is the future.
Yep. No question. All right. Next question. We'll talk a little special teams before we get out of here. Ross G says, I know this is Jeremy's favorite topic, but any thoughts on the continued struggles on kickoffs and kick return?
Yeah, I look, I didn't spend any time rewatching special teams,
Yeah.
so I don't have any basis to make my judgment other than what I watched live. And it's hard. It's hard to get an idea of what they were doing right or wrong live. So I don't exactly know. It's not something I've gotten to yet in my rewatch. So I can't put my finger on what the problem is. So if you have an idea, I'd love to hear it.
I don't have anything in particular because I don't think it's one particular issue. It's certainly surprising, right? This is something
Yeah.
that the Lions have always been able to hold their head high on, and something that Dave Phipp has earned. I mean, his reputation is almost untouchable at this point. And obviously, this was an issue in the preseason, but I think most of us thought, well, at least half of these guys aren't even going to be on the team anyways.
Right.
So once you get the right personnel in there, things will look better. But I do feel like we're getting to a point where we need to start talking about the returners themselves on the kickoff. Because we tried it. I get why Grant Stewart makes a lot of sense. He's more athletic than people give him credit for. And when a guy that big is running that fast, it's hard to take him down. But I don't see the vision. I don't see the explosive play potential in someone like that. When I think of Grant Stewart returning kicks, I think, okay, he might be able to get us to the 35 every other time. And that's it. But Dave Phipp was even talking about it last week. Like, this has the potential to be a very, very explosive play. And when you consider the numbers game of it, your kicker isn't part of the return team or your coverage team usually, which means you have a numbers advantage. It's 11 on 10. He's expecting explosive plays. And do you expect Grant Stewart to ever break out like a 70-yarder? I don't. And so I think it's time to start dipping your toes into other returner options. And obviously Jacob Sailors was only in there because you have the injury to Vaki. But like, why not Craig Reynolds? Why not Khalif Raymond? Why not, like, I mean, if it continues to be going, why not Dominic Lovett? You said you thought he had some potential too. Like, how about like some actual explosive options? Because the one thing I've noticed about the new dynamic kickoff is that when you have these guys lined up 5 yards away from each other, it's hard to hold those blocks for a long time. You need a speedy option. You need a guy who can get upfield in a hurry. And I don't see it with either of the guys that were there back last game.
Yeah, I certainly felt like Sailors was trying to take his opportunity and literally run with it, right?
Yeah.
Every time the ball went to him, I was like, well, he's going to run it. And no matter what the situation calls for, he's going to bring it. And so I kind of dismiss that as him just trying to make a name for himself, right?
Yeah.
I do like Vaki as a better option back there. At the same time, I don't think Vaki brings what you're asking for.
He doesn't.
He doesn't have that ability to be like a speed gadget type option. And Vaki's a terrific athlete, and he would be really good as a pass catching contributor on offense. And his bigger body is really, I think, what Phipp is looking for in these situations. But if you're looking for a guy that has some explosion, you're looking for Khalil Dorsey. You're looking for Dominic Lovett.
Yep. I hadn't even considered Dorsey, but I feel like that is an option that's a little bit more up my alley. And listen, like we were talking about in the break when Dan Campbell said, hey, maybe we should have played these young guards a little bit more in the preseason. I do think Dave Phipp is going to be a little bit movable, right? Like this, they're in the gaining information phase of the new dynamic kickoff. And while I think a lot of people thought the Grant Stewart experiment was going to expire once he fumbled it once in the preseason and once in a scrimmage. I think he wanted to see it for real. I think he wanted to see it with starting special teamers on both sides of the ball. And now he has. And I'm hoping there's a little bit of, okay, we tried it. Didn't work. Let's try something else now. I'll be honest, I don't expect it in week 2. Probably not even in week 3.
Yeah, that's probably a bye week change, to be honest.
It might be.
Yeah.
But I just do think it's something that they need to consider. The problems go beyond that, right? Like there's coverage problem, there's penalty problems, but I just don't see the I don't see enough potential in the returning game with the guys that they have back there.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I feel.
I know there's a suggestion of this in the chat, and I know I get this a lot every time we talk about explosive kick returners.
Yeah.
And JMO's name always gets brought up because he was a returner at one point at Alabama. He's lost it. If he could do it, he can't do it anymore. He drops like every other catch. Like every other time he tries to field a punt or a kickoff, he drops like every other one. I know he's fun, and I know it'd be exciting to have a guy with his speed back there. He just, for whatever reason, it escapes him.
Yeah.
And so we've seen it for 3 years now, or 2 years in training camp, where he just inevitably it hits him in the chest first, or hits his arms and then hits his chest, and it falls on the ground, and then he gets animated and he gets mad. He's like, "Oh man, I could have had that." But like for whatever reason, it just doesn't work for him. And it's a shame too, because he would be certainly would be a lot of fun.
And if you watch Phipp's press conference last week, he did say, like, because this play is becoming more important, because there's going to be more opportunities, there are going to be times where we're gonna consider playing a starter.
Yeah, because look, if they do a little pooch kick, like he should be able to handle. I mean, look, but Gibbs can do it. Right. Like I don't know if they allow him to. But
and like it, I think when you're in a situation like you're down 3 points, you're down 6 points with like 15 seconds left, right? Like you just give up a go-ahead touchdown with 15 seconds left, and they decide not to boot it through the end zone or whatever. Like you want to give yourself an explosive opportunity. You don't want to do it regularly with Amon-Ra St. Brown or Gibbs. Or
that's who they're going to put back there. Yeah,
Amon-Ra?
100%. Yeah, they're going to put Amon-Ra because one, Amon-Ra wants the ball. Two, there's anything within his reach, he's not going to drop.
Right.
And so that's who they would go to. But again, Amon-Ra is like 4'6". You know what I mean? Like maybe if you like have Amon-Ra catching it and then he laterals it to J-Mo.
Well, yeah, just have the two. Those are the two guys back there, and just with all the J-Mo issues about catching the ball, just have Amon-Ra grab it and then immediately just hand it off. It doesn't have to be
have
like
them stand next to each other.
Yeah.
It's
just like, okay, I got it. Here you go, buddy. Have fun. All right. Final question here comes from Patrick K., one of our Pride of Detroit Direct subscribers. Says, can we feel more optimistic heading into week 2 after watching the Bears on Monday Night Football?
Yeah, I think so. Because you see the flaws, right? I think one of the hard parts about the Packers game was that the Packers didn't seem to have flaws that the Lions weren't able to take advantage of, right? Yeah. And so it felt very one-sided. With the Bears, you could see dents, right? You could see little cracks in the foundation there, and so they seem to get, I don't want to say tired, but they seem to get worn down. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was just the Vikings being a little bit more physical or what, but the Bears seem to be getting more down. The offense also struggled once you got out of the script. When that script was good, and they went down and they scored like early. I was like, oh man, maybe I was wrong about the Bears. And then they got off the script, and I was like, nope, that was okay. I remember this. I remember this team. Caleb's got some things that Ben's leaning on more that are certainly you're going to have to take into account. But in order to run Ben's offense effectively, you have to be wildly accurate. And I think that's a developing trait with Caleb right now. And
Yeah.
so there are issues that are exploitable. And so, yeah, I like this matchup. After watching them, their performance in week one.
I don't I don't know if it changed my feelings at all in week 2
Mm-hmm.
because I think whether the Lions win that game is almost independent of the Chicago Bears. Like the Lions just need to fix their issues, and I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Chicago Bears, I don't know how much my opinion of them changed last night. I will say, while Caleb still definitely has a lot of accuracy issues, and I do think he's still processing a little bit slower, he was very good at managing the pocket. For a guy that got sacked an average of 4 times last year, he had to deal with a lot of pressure last night, and he only got sacked twice.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be an issue. Reining him in is going to be an issue. Making sure you're not giving rushing lanes to him is going to be an issue. And so the Lions are going to have to do what people hate that they do, which is crush the pocket. They're not going to have guys rushing upfield and pressuring the quarterback right away. They're going to try, because I thought the Vikings did a very bad job of that. I thought a lot of times they left their rushing lanes and let Caleb run wild at times. And it's why they probably should have lost that game in a lot of ways. But like to maybe give you some hope, the Bears' interior offensive line was terrible. Jonah Jackson, 5 pressures allowed, 22.6 pass blocking grade. Joe Tooney.
He had a couple false starts too.
Yeah. Joe Tooney, 4 pressures allowed, 70.9 pass blocking grade. And then their center, Drew Dahlman, 4 pressures allowed. Those are high pressure numbers for interior. Like, that's maybe acceptable for an offensive tackle. For an interior offensive line, that's bad. That's real bad. Now, again, we're gonna need to see something from the Lions' interior defensive line to have some hope that they can take advantage of that. But I think when I look at that game, one of the things that pops out to me most is Caleb's ability to manage the pocket a little bit better and be a little bit more decisive when it comes to running and escaping, while also keeping his eyes downfield. But I don't know.
Yeah, if you're a Lions fan hoping to see more pressure from the Lions front this week, I don't think this is the week that you're going to see it.
No, they're not going to get very aggressive, I don't believe.
Yeah, they're going to be working to contain. This is actually what they're kind of built for, though, right?
Yeah.
Like this is why they take this approach, because they're trying to be this contain. They're trying to stop the run. I think they'll have a game plan for Swift, and they're gonna make Caleb's arm beat him. Is what they're gonna do.
What I'm a little bit more interested in how the Lions offense is going to match up with the Bears defense, and I don't feel like I got a great sense of what the Bears defense is all about last night. They were defense that gave the Lions trouble in past years, but this is a completely different system. And like you said, it's much more similar to the system that the Lions face every day against themselves. And they try to stop the run, but they didn't do that great of a job. They did in the first half, stopping the run, but I thought the Vikings were pretty successful in the second half. The Vikings finished with 120 yards and 4.6 a carry, and only 25 of that came from J.J. McCarthy. Interestingly enough, Jordan Mason, 15 carries for 68 yards, while Aaron Jones only had 8 for 23.
So what their plan was, is Mason's their bruiser.
Yep.
And Aaron Jones is so Mason is their Montgomery. And then Gibbs is Aaron Jones. And I would throw at Aaron Jones or at Gibbs the way that they threw at Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
Run him on some wheels, try and get the ball downfield to him as opposed to just doing checkdowns. And you get, because the Bears will cover him with a linebacker. And if they're going to cover him with the linebacker, that's go get it.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. I think we'll close things out there. Thank you to everybody for the questions this week. We will be back on the podcast feed for Before the Roar, our new preview podcast with Miko, Morgan, and typically a third rotating guest. So keep your eye out on that. I listened to the first episode. It was very good. I enjoyed what they were doing. Pride of Detroit direct subscribers will get First Bite, our preview podcast where we talk to a Bears analyst, writer, reporter. Go to prideofdetroit.com/subscribe if you want to be part of that. You'll also get midweek mailbags at the end of the month that are just for our Pride of Detroit direct exclusive subscribers. You'll get post-game videos with me and Erik. You'll also get a column from Ty Schulter and a post-game data analysis from our good friend Brett Whitefield. But until next time, that's Erik over there. One of these days I'm going to get it right. I'm Jeremy. Thank you all for listening. It's chaos. Be kind.
Recording stopped.
So Lions start opening line was Lions minus 5.5 against the Bears. And then the Lions game against the Packers dipped it down to Lions 4.5. And then the Bears played last night. It's back up to 5.5 again. They're like, all right, never mind. We were okay.
We were wrong. Sorry.
That's what I was trying to look up when my phone decided to do a commercial and make that noise.
All right. We'll maybe be live till like 1-ish. Let's go through some of the pressure packages and stuff just for funsies.
Okay.
What we liked, what we didn't like. And let's just start on third down. Why not? We're just going to walk through all of the third downs. There's 11 of them.
All of them.
All the third downs.
Oh.
This is the first one. 3rd and 10.
Double A gap threat. And
Yep.
now, okay, pause for a second.
Sorry.
You're going to see a
Hold on. Oh. Can you guys still hear me?
look from the Bears.
There we go.
You saw this from the Bears last night.
Say that again.
I said this look here where you spread the 4 out and then you double A gap the linebackers. The Bears did this last night a ton. And so you're going to see this exact same look from the Bears. And what the Bears did though was they never really brought the blitzers.
They just
whereas the
threatened it.
Lions did. Yes, a lot of threatening A gap stuff.
And in fact, they both go.
Mm-hmm.
So does Barnes
Too
off the
easy.
edge. So this is a 6-man rush.
And look at that. They're still doubling Aiden.
Yep.
A little dip swim from Alex and Reeder. That's not the two that you want to do that with.
Right.
You know who you want to do? And flop Alex and Branch. That would be more effective.
Yeah. I would like to see a little bit more Branch in some of these. Did he blitz once?
I didn't see it if he did. Or I don't recall it if he did.
But yeah, there's just nobody winning their one-on-ones here. Like none. And it's obvious. Nope. And it's like.
And again, you're doing a dip with Reeder. Like, why are you asking your 350-pound nose tackle to dip under your linebacker?
Right.
Like, come on.
The closest to a pressure we get here is Barnes, who does an okay job with the left tackle here.
He's just got to beat yeah, I mean, I might even consider moving Barnes inside and putting Jack on the outside or putting Alex on the outside just to get more interior pressure up front.
Here's where the fancy pants stuff starts. I believe this is Aiden dropping into coverage here. So now you got Reeder occupying 2 guys. I think the hope is that Anzalone loops around here. And unfortunately, Reeder doesn't occupy that guy for long enough. I mean, that's heck of a job by 75 to recognize that. But like, I mean, that is not even close. That is just way too much pocket. Because, the hope is you don't want Aiden Hutchinson dropping into coverage for 4 seconds. The hope is pressure gets to Love in a hurry. He doesn't expect Hutchinson to be here, and so his release valve, he goes to, like, right there. Like, you would hope pressure is in his face, so he's just like, oh, I'm going to hit my quick crosser here. I'm going to hit 0.
Let's keep in mind, Zach Tom is a top 10 offensive tackle in the league, right. As well.
And so he's
that
going
makes
up
that
against
play.
Reader.
Yeah, and he's the one that peels off, isn't he?
No. I don't think so. That's the left guard, isn't it? Or the right guard, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, it's 75.
Oh, okay. That's Sean. What's his name then? All right, well, that's pretty good. Still very good.
But also, again, you have...
But Tom...
This is something that Dan Campbell said is like... Look at the job Josh Jacobs does. He takes out both linebackers. Campbell, boom. Anzalone, boom.
Well, Jack has to, like, Jack's move there is he's supposed to take out 2 guys.
Yes, he's supposed to take out both those guys.
Yep, and he doesn't get either.
No.
I mean, he occupies the one because the one just stays focused on him because Jacobs picks up Anzalone, but yeah, Jack's job is to smash both those guys, and he didn't get either.
The linebacker blitzing has been subpar for a little bit too long, if you ask me. All right. This is a touchdown. I think this is just a 4-man. I feel like someone gets close here. I can't remember who.
No more Reader. You got Lopez in, right?
Yeah.
Looks like.
Yep. Ooh, Jake Moody just got released. Oh, this is just Hutchinson. I mean, Hutchinson does a good job here. The ball's released too quickly. He runs Zach Tom into the quarterback. All right, maybe going this slow was too much. That's not a bad pass rush. The ball's just out a little too quickly. Campbell gets caught a little flat-footed here. Let's Tucker behind. And this is also like a really good ball, to be clear. Like, that is not much of a window. Branch is a half second late. That's not a pass rush problem. IMO. All right. Another 3rd and 7. Is this the Davenport drop into coverage play? I think it is. Yep.
He was leaning. Watch it. Go back to the front.
Yeah, he's trying to disguise it.
He's leaning, though. Look at him. He's like already back on his heel.
Oh, you're saying the back. Opposite.
Yeah, he's leaning back.
A little bit. Oh, we do have a branch blitz here.
Look at how... Oh... Jacobs
again.
Yep.
Not much from... So what's happening on the interior here? You have Reader again. Taking on 2, but... Tyleek does an okay job, but I don't know what Alex is doing. I mean...
Nothing. Running in the same gap as Branch is pointless there.
Right. It's just... What are you?
But I mean, he can't. I mean, look, Tyleek's only taking one guy. If Tyleek has to get both the guard and the tackle, and the center.
Right.
If Alex is going to go through that gap.
Right. Branch does okay. Again, not good enough. Hutchinson's getting chipped here again. So
if Tyleek's job is just to beat the center. He actually doesn't do bad. It's not a bad job. But I think if you're sending Alex in that gap, I think you're expecting Tyleek to get both those guys.
I'd like to see the sideline view of what the coverage looked like. This is where NFL Pro gets a little wonky. This is not the sideline view.
Maybe you have to run the play first.
See if I refresh this. This one. Wait, I just did it. Okay, here we go. So they make it look like single high, but this is maybe cover 2?
It's cover 2.
Yeah.
It's actually like a...
I mean, this is just a terrible play call. Like everyone's some version of this is where it's like really frustrating because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in coverage against 3 receivers. And there's just way too much open space because you have Davenport dropping 10 yards back. This is where it just feels too cutesy. Like, what are we doing? The one time that they don't play man, it's just like, no, you probably just should have played man here.
Honestly, if they had cover 3, they would have got this. But because they ran a cover 2, like because they're in zone, they're in cover 2 zone, right? If they play cover 3, they have this covered.
Right.
But because they're in cover 2, it's open.
I mean, there's not much Kirby can do here because look at this guy.
Right. Right. But if this is cover 3 or cover 6, you're going to have your deep outside spots are going to be there, and Kirby's going to be over the middle, and Kirby's going to be right in the wheelhouse of where that pass goes.
Yeah.
They beat that because you're in the wrong defense. It's weird that they stayed in that, even though Kirby was at a single high, that they stayed in that.
The Packers did? Oh, stayed in that defense.
No, I'm sorry. It's weird that the Packers didn't check out with that look, with the look that the Lions gave them. And it's maybe because they had just done the exact same thing 2 other times.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I also don't love when Anzalone's blitzing that he's 5 yards off the line of scrimmage when he is. Too much time. Like, even if he is unblocked there, he's not getting before the ball's out. I don't know. I admit I'm Monday morning quarterbacking a little bit here, but that just felt like the wrong play call in the wrong time. Are we still in third downs? Okay, we are. Okay, felt a little pressure there. Let's see what that looked like. Still have DJ Reader in here, but you also have Roy Lopez. Is that Al-Qadim Muhammad? I think that is.
It is.
He didn't actually feel that much pressure. He just quicker out. You send Jack. Are you sending both linebackers again? No, I think Alex just had the running back. We don't need to see this direct snap. It's 3rd and 1. We can skip the 3rd ones. All right. This one's going to hurt a little bit. I'm just going to warn you right now. This is the interception that never happened. So that was a little bit more of effective playing around. But this is also what I was talking about with
Muhammad. Watch Muhammad.
Yeah.
On the right.
Muhammad
defensive end spot.
So that's Davenport actually. Muhammad's playing nose here.
Watch Davenport. Davenport comes in and he occupies 2. That's exactly what you want. Now Barnes has just got to beat.
Hutchinson and Barnes are both kind of doing the same thing here from opposite sides where they're just trying to loop around into that specific gap. Hutchinson takes it a little too wide. It's fine, though. Like, he's feeling the pressure. This is a hurried throw. This is a relatively, I would say, successful pass rush. Forces a quick throw. It's not open. Forces an interception.
it's really Davenport really helps that play
Yeah.
quite a bit. I like you if you're going to collapse, you need to collapse like
Hard.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to come and take two guys.
Watch it one more time. Boop. All right. One or two more. This is the Muhammad pressure. This is what I'm talking about with you need a guy to win your one-on-ones. End zone. Give me the end zone. Muhammad, again, nose-ish. You got Aiden on the right, Davenport on the left. All three of your linebackers are by the line of scrimmage. Send two of them. Davenport wins, or Muhammad wins his one-on-one here.
Again, that's a edge rusher going up against an interior player. Like,
Yep.
there's an advantage if you can take care of it.
And of course, by the way, Aiden chipped. So he just goes inside.
Occupies two.
And then let's look at Davenport real quick. Wait a second. No, it seems like a pretty early jump. All right, whatever. But four's a quick throw. Pretty tight coverage there. Would have been a tough catch.
I think that's play in particular. You can kind of see with what Campbell's talking about with how they bottlenecked themselves a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You could see
running
when
into each other.
When Davenport, Jack took Davenport's guy off. Davenport dipped under, but he got caught in the wash and he had nowhere to go.
Yeah. Watch it one more time.
Jack takes out 70, and Davenport dips under clean, and then just gets caught in the wash. See, under clean.
Yep. And so, like, you'd like to see him come around here,
right there. Yep.
Where Aiden is also coming through.
Yep.
Basically, it's
but I think that's Aiden freelancing a little bit, though.
It does kind of feel like that, right? Like he just gets shoved inside, so he's just like, okay, I'll go over there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's kind of all I wanted to look at.
All right, now show the Tesla touchdown or the Tesla touchdown so that everybody's happy.
Yeah, you want to do that? I just closed out of it.
Oh, all right.
Oh, no, I didn't. Hold on. Do you want to watch all three Tesla snaps?
Yes.
Okay. Desktop. You need to be able to see it. Now my computer's starting to slow down a little bit.
Mm-hmm. It's getting a little choppy on my end too, but
come on. There we go. All right, let's find the non-special teams ones because we don't care about those. Third quarter, red zone. To Slaw in the slot there. Next to JMO. Not open. Also not the primary read. You got Amon Ra's the primary read, who's also not open. JMO kind of open.
Yeah, he could have went JMO. That 2 is open.
But it's the second read, and by the time he looks over there, it's not as open.
3 is Monty.
Like, if he throws it now, JMO's probably getting blown up. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw Caleb do that a lot last night. Ask DJ Moore.
All right. So, throw away. Play not there. This the very next play? No. This is this is after the negative run.
You can hit just receiving, and it'll give you just the 3, right? Or will it just give you the 1?
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
All right, never mind.
Doesn't matter. So this
He's
is
outside now?
This is a give up play, essentially, right? He's right here next to Laporta. He's between Laporta and JMO. First look is Saint. And then I think he's just going to immediately check down to Montgomery here. Yeah.
He should find his way to Laporta. And he doesn't get there. Doesn't need to.
I mean...
Yeah, because Monty's wide open.
Yeah, it's a third and goal from the 17. They're not going to try to force anything instead. Like, maybe you'd like him to hold on to the ball a little bit longer and go through his full progressions, but I think he's told on this play either Amon-Ra or Montgomery. Like, it's just, you're not going to score a touchdown on this play. All right, what was his third play? You guys remember which one it was?
No, that was it. He just had two.
Okay, we'll just watch two. Outside.
Yeah, him throw that ball before he's even like.
It's funny because like the route doesn't even matter because this corner like never even watches him. He's watching the quarterback the entire time.
That ball's out before when he's at the 3, maybe.
There is. I wonder if there's something that Goff does to manipulate him a little bit because there's this moment right here where he kind of takes a step in forward. Is he looking at Amon-Ra here and drawing that guy's attention just one step? Maybe. I wonder if we'll be able to see it from the end zone view. Nah, it's not zoomed out enough. Well, it doesn't look to be any real look off, is there?
No, he looks straight, which is common for Goff.
It's wild. Just that
catch is stupid.
Insane. Really I didn't think there was any chance he got both feet in either.
I saw once he got that once he hit that first one. He hit that first right foot so quick.
Yeah. That's crazy. Let's go a little slower. Let's really make a meal out of it. Insane. Oh, ref's got to talk about it. Hold on. Oh. All right. Good times. Great times. What an awesome, fun game.
Play. That was a great play.
That was a great play. All right. Let me finish up on alerts, and then we should probably get out of here. Darth Hippo, thank you for the 47 months. What's up, Tony? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for the 47 months. Thomas J. Hutchins, thank you for the 30 months. Is still feeling it. Hey, man. We'll be okay. Gabe Day's just, 5 days away? Something like that. Harrow, thank you for the follow on Twitch. Tommy Pencils, thank you for the follow. And Carter, 25 months subscribed on Twitch, says nowhere to go but up. See? Feeling better about it already. All right, let's get out of here. Hey, 101. We almost made it out on time. Like I said, we don't go live on Twitch for the before the roar. We're still working to get Miko the capabilities to start streaming. That's probably going to happen in 2026. But if you're a fan of the podcast, just subscribe on whatever podcasting platform you enjoy, and you'll get access to that. You'll get, in terms of our next live stream, that'll be Saturday morning, I think. Yep. For the Madden Sim, which unfortunately was more accurate than we were expecting in week 1. But all will be right in the world next week. So hang out with us then. Appreciate all the questions, all the play review requests, and we'll see you guys next week. See y'all later.